Welcome to Faith in 5, a weekly video devotional designed to discuss practical spiritual concepts in 5 minutes or less. I'm your host, Mark Vandella. I remember one time I took a group of students skiing, and we got off the chairlift, we rolled up to the top of the hill, and I started to head in one direction, and they were looking at a different direction, and one of them said, "Mark, where are you going?" I said, "To where nobody else has skied." And I was headed down to where there were no tracks, through the trees, in all the place where nobody skied. And when they rolled up to the top of the hill, they saw the place to go, the path to go was where everybody else was skiing. That's how I look at a mountain with snow on it, is I want to go where there isn't anybody, where no one else has been. And I realized in that moment that when we approach skiing, but also when we approach life, we see different things. We want to get different things out of life than maybe the person next to us. And yet one of the things that we do is we continue to look at what somebody else is doing and think that that's the right way. But what if I could tell you that there is a way to figure it out for your life, for you to figure it out for your life, not by measuring what other people are doing and how they're going about it. See, design thinking causes us to look at our path, not what everybody else is doing. In fact, we're trying to do the opposite because we don't want to recreate the same product that somebody else has. We're trying to figure out where do we go and what do we do best. And if there was a Cipher or there was a decoder that could figure that out, would you want it? See, one of the things that we have to look at when we consider designing our life, applying design thinking into our life, is start to look at the gauges. Because there's not a GPS that we can put in and along the way know that we're getting closer to that. That's not how it works. But if we could look at the gauges of are we getting closer, what's the feeling, what's the vibe, that might help us. And so in Designing Your Life, in the book Designing Your Life, they talk about looking at two different gauges and then kind of a bonus side light, warning light. One is engagement. So now that we've identified our true path, the direction we're going, not necessarily the destination, but the direction, as we go about that, we should be watching our engagement gauge. Is this something that interests us, that we find ourselves pouring more into? And if it is, then that engagement gauge is high, and we should continue down that path. If not, if that gauge is low, then we say, you know what, maybe that's not the right way. We're still going in the same direction, but maybe we need to adjust the path, right? We pull up to the top of the hill and we say, is this the right way or is this the right way? And if we feel engaged when we go one way, then we're kind of smelling something. We keep going. The other gauge is energy. Does it cost you a lot of energy to do that? Or does it give you energy? When we think about those 5 areas of our lives, is it drudgery to step into those things, or does it excite us? And then the extra little bonus that they talk about is flow. And they basically define flow as play for adults. And so if you can work hard or tirelessly at something and it doesn't feel like work, it feels like flow, then that's another gauge that you can pay attention to. It's this idea that as we step in different directions, God might show up and shine a light. We talked about a path a week ago. But what about that energy level? In Ephesians 1, 20 through 23, it talks about that energy. It says, I want to ask God to make you intelligent and discerning in knowing Him. And knowing Him personally in a way that your eyes are focused and clear, so that you can see exactly what He is calling you to, exactly what He's doing in your life. And then grasp onto the immensity of His glorious way of life so that you can follow in that path. And if you start going in this way and you're not feeling that, well, that doesn't necessarily mean that all that's out here is bad. We just have to kind of pivot and shift. And that series of verses ends. It says, the extravagance of His work in us who trust Him. We experience endless energy and boundless strength. Those are the meters that we should be watching. We're not going to get all the answers, but that's kind of the decoder as we go about life is it giving us those things? And if it's not, maybe we pivot. But if it's not, that doesn't mean that we quit. For example, if you're working in a quiet office, does that give you, are you engaged or does that give you energy? Or maybe compare that to working in a loud, noisy coffee shop. Two different people can experience different things in those settings. And that doesn't mean that the work is the problem. See, somebody who's in design thinking isn't looking for just really clean, easy stop and starts. We have to look deeper, deeper, deeper at the root cause. So instead of quitting the work, change the environment, change the inputs, use these gauges of engagement and energy as well as flow to find out where God is showing up in those places in your life. This week, as you connect with God, as you talk with God, look for those places where He's lighting up, where He's giving you energy and excitement, as you try to unpack this journey that you're on so that you can design your best life alongside of God.